to cap it off. Okay, next up is Sean Martinez with Open Budget Oakland. And Alyssa, I see your DM, and yes, you can go at the end.
All right, so let's party. So, hi everyone. I'm Sean, again, hi. And this project that I'm demoing is Open Budget. We are a project that is entirely devoted to visualizing the city budget data and helping people understand it through these visualizations. We are a project based on Jade, Sass, Bootstrap, and React. And because this is my presentation, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a tour with a little bit of a story. So imagine it's June 2016. You're in a BART station getting ready for your commute. Social distancing sounds like a euphemism for getting banned on Tumblr. And when people think about BTS, they think of the acronym behind the scenes as at a movie. And as good people do, you like to boot up the San Jose Mercury on your iPhone 7, and you see this headline. From 2010 to 2016, Bay Area police departments lost 944 firearms. Among those were 251 shotguns, 51 sniper rifles, 12 grenade launchers, and 1 submachine gun. I'll let you process that on your own time. And in that same time period, Oakland PD lost 370 firearms. Again, I'll let you process that on your own time. But you are a concerned citizen in 2016. The world is your oyster, and you want to figure out what on earth are we going to do about this problem? So you turn to Open Budget. You'll come and start with the overview tool and see that the police department has a big chunk of funding that's mostly discretionary funding, or primarily set at the discretion of the city council each and every year. And that makes you think, well, this looks like a lot, but is that typical? And then you move on to the comparison tool and you see that, there is an increase from last year to this year, but you wonder if this increase is being spent in the department in a way that you prefer. So you drill down and look at our detail tool, and you explore the different buckets of expenses and revenues. And as you drill down deeper and deeper, you start to see how money is being spent in the police department and how that's being spent across all departments. So you can start to see the whole picture of the city budget. And you start to think, well, how can I get involved? You go to our timeline tool and familiarize yourself with the different stages of how the budget is made and where you might look to organize your community and make your voice heard. At Open Budget, we believe that this story is more than just a dance between policy makers and voters. We believe that there are different people who want to use the budget and get engaged, but they need different tools at each and every step. No matter whether you're someone who's new to public finance and you're just getting your feet wet, someone who's looking for an answer to a public policy question, or you're someone who's looking to take action now that you've understood and learned more about the budget, we are here to help you with our portfolio of tools. And if you want to boil it down, we want to help people get excited about our city in action. I'll be the first to admit to that. It is hard to get excited about accounting, and it can feel like a really high bar for entry when looking at the budget. But if there's something that we can do to make a little easier to understand, a story a little clearer to see, anything that helps people feel like this $1.65 billion machine is in their hands to shape because this is their city, then that's what we're here to do. We're here to help people feel like this is something that they can understand, that they can shape, and that they can use to help influence our city and our future. So if this sounds exciting to you, how you can help is plug in at our different goals in the short, mid, and long term. Right now, we are gearing up for the 21 to 23 fiscal year cycle, which means the next 6 months are going to be the hottest periods for us here at Open Budget. We'll be working to get ready, absorb all of this data, and publicly interface with other stakeholders so that way they hear about how this budget is going to influence them. And if you want to plug in, here are some of the things that we're doing. For example, we're trying to make our current portfolio a little easier to use or a little more explanatory, such as building tooltips so that way when you hover over a weird accounting term, it makes total sense to you, or creating a feedback form so that way you can actually tell us what's working and what's not working. You can help us build educational content for our community, for people who may not know a lot about how the budget works or these really crazy terms. You can help us start to build a social media presence so we can start to really publicize what we're doing and how they can get involved. And you can definitely help us build some community partnerships so we can better understand who this budget is going to impact and how we can make it easier for them to use. These are just the beginning though. So if you feel like this is for you, this is the kind of project that you want to be on, and you want to jump in, please come visit our channel. We're Open Budget on, I think we're OO-projects-open-budget. And I'll take questions now.
Questions for Sean about Open Budget? I have a question. I know last budget cycle, you had a lot of trouble getting the spreadsheet that Open Budget depends on. Do you still have that dependency? Are you still, is that still kind of an issue, a potential issue?
It may be a potential issue. We have a better relationship with finance now, especially with our civilian counterpart at the Budget Advisory Commission, but the proof is going to be in the pudding. Every year they give it as a CSV file, and the question is going to become, are they going to give us the CSV file sooner or later? And hopefully with enough talking to them and making the case, they'll give it to us sooner.
Is there anything that anyone within OpenOakland or maybe contacts outside of OpenOakland can do to smooth that process at all?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, one of the big things that we need to just do a better job of is just talking more to our government counterparts. So if you're the kind of person that just wants to get out there and kind of, you know, meet some of our friendly friends at finance, you know, that's something that anyone can do. You do not have to be someone trained in lobbying or communications to do that. They're very amicable and they are very open to hearing our concerns.
Awesome, thanks. Any last questions for Sean? Okay, then let's give Sean a big round of applause.
Thanks.
Next up is OpenOUSD, Vanessa and John.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Great.
Vanessa, I made you co-host because I hear you have a deck to share.
Oh, yeah, thank you. All right. So our team and group is called OpenOUSD. The team consists of Josh, me, Vanessa, Emily, Mark, and also John, who is not pictured here. And our main goals for this project is to just tell the story of the school district's office so that the community can participate in conversations about what it should do in the future. And we also want to provide a mechanism for people to give input on whether it would be to give input on the purpose of the central office or how much we should invest in each of these functions. And currently we have made progress with our What's New page. And most of our Spanish content is almost available. And lastly, we have been able to implement and gather the data from the previous years. And right here, you can see the Spanish content on the left and on the right. You can see that I'm able to change from English to Spanish, and also the table sorts alphabetically. So that's great. And now I'll give it to John to explain everything else.
Yeah, the last part I was going to explain is that Emily and I, actually mostly Emily, worked on showing staff changes from the previous year. So this is a look at the communications department or program at the central office of the school district. And if you go to the next slide, have it a little bit larger, you can see that between years, they've actually reduced by 4 positions and certain FTE. So this is important because a lot of one of the things the community is doing is watching these programs for expansion, or contraction, but mostly expansion because sometimes budgets get inflated and we end up overspending. So it's interesting to see the trends over time, whether a program is growing or getting smaller. And this is the beginning, hopefully, of like insights to the data that we want to bring to help people navigate it. So you go to the last slide, next one. Yeah, what we've got coming up in the next month is providing that same change across years, but for financial data, because we just got the financial data set for last school year a couple of weeks ago, which rolls into the next line as well. We want to update the data display. Right now, it's 2 school years ago, like not last school year, but the year before. So we want to update that to last year. And we are really close to getting Spanish content coverage across the whole site. So we want to wrap that up and then finally do a release. We're kind of long overdue to push out something to the main site. We've got a lot in staging, so we want to get that out. And in terms of help with pushing that out, I think we want to step back and like tell people about the site, get more eyeballs on it, get more feedback from people. So if you have ideas or ways you can support us with that, that'd be really cool. I think that's it.
All right on the nose, John, with 20 seconds to spare. Questions for John and Vanessa about OpenOUSD?
I have a couple questions. One is, I'm curious how you are managing translation, both the translation process itself and implementing that on the actual website. And then this, because I know you're using a static site as well, right? I think Gatsby. And then my second question is around the release to like pushing from staging to live. How you decide sort of when to do a live release, if you have sort of a process for that, or if you just sort of when it feels right, or when you have critical mass on improvements.
Vanessa, do you want to take the translation content one? Or do you want me to?
Yeah. So I translated most of it with the help of my mom. I do speak Spanish as my first language, and we uploaded it to Contentful, and we just you can change the locale from or add languages to each section, and when you change the locale, it changes everything on the page. So it's pretty easy.
So does Contentful push to the site? Is it connected?
Yes.
Oh, that's very cool. And
Yeah,
is that?
So
Yeah.
I was just going to clarify, like Gatsby at build time pulls in the content from Contentful and packages it up and creates the pages. So if we change something in Contentful, it's not going to like automatically change the site or anything. But if we run a new build, it'll pull it in.
Got it. And does Contentful allow you to sort of hold changes until, like, does it allow you to sort of go through like workflow status in terms of like marking something ready to be pulled in when a build happens?
I think it does, although I haven't used that functionality yet. Like, we haven't pushed out a version of the site that's pulling from Contentful yet, so everything is kind of just like staging. But I'm pretty sure it has those features, and they have kind of like a nonprofit type tier that we have that I hope would give us that.
I'll follow up with you offline because I have a lot more questions about. I feel like that might be a tool that would be really valuable for other projects in terms of just content management. So maybe we can connect later to see if it's
Yeah,
scalable.
sure. I'm happy to. I think the Contentful part is pretty easy, but to be honest, the translation and just managing multiple translations was really hard. It's taken way longer than I thought it would. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty common.
Yeah. Your second question, when we push out, yeah, I think it's just kind of when we feel, but to be honest, I'm kind of timid because one of the big things we heard in talking to people, like interviews before we started this project, was that trust is a big issue. And so I'm cautious, probably too cautious about pushing out information until I know it's like accurate. And for the Spanish content, it just felt kind of weird to put out half of the site translated and not the other. So it's just like a work in progress thing. But my goal is to do every month if we could. I really like to get to that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John. That is just about all the time we have for questions. Big round of applause for John and Vanessa. Next up is Community Foods. Thomas.
All right.
Oh, did I make you co-host?
I don't think you have yet.
I did not. There you are.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Alrighty. Let's see. Let's see if Present's going to work for me. Sometimes it doesn't. Can you all see my slide without the slides on the left-hand side?
I'm not seeing a screen share.
Okay, hold on. Can you see my slides now?
Nope.
No.
Oh, it's because I was doing it wrong. My bad. Come on. Okay, how's that?
Yay.
Yes.
Yay. Sorry. Okay, cool. So this is the Community Foods Project. Oh, I didn't start the timer. So this is a fairly new project, sort of. It kind of just got officially approved. So the Community Foods Market is over here in West Oakland at San Pablo and 31st. It's been around for a little over a year. It's the first full-size grocery store in the neighborhood since like the 70s, like 50 years, which is pretty huge. And many of the customers kind of in the neighborhood qualify for EBT, aka food stamps, like food assistance. And so this is like a big thing for the store owner, who is our partner on the project, Brahma Mahdi. He's been working since 2002 to improve food access within the neighborhood. And he's a hard worker. He's there like every day. And so he came to Code for America, which then came to OpenOakland to ask for support on two different areas. So this is kind of like a two-part project. On the one part is about building a kiosk inside the store to actually enable people to enroll in EBT, to sign up for food assistance. And the other part of the project is to actually like improve the process for folks who are currently trying to use EBT at the store. And I'll get into both of these separately. So on the kiosk side, the main goal is just like to give folks a means of signing up in store, primarily through the creation and setting up of a kiosk, which will presumably be based around using a tablet potentially with some peripherals to route folks to the Get CalFresh web app that Code for America designed that already makes, that process like somewhat easier. But this bridges that gap between actually getting folks to that web app when they might otherwise not be aware of it or not have the means to access it on their own. So being able to do this in the store would kind of remove some barriers to access there. Some of the issues, current means of signing up for EBT benefits, particularly when folks aren't able to do that online for any number of reasons, the means of doing it in person are understandably like way more complicated now with the pandemic and shelter in place. The city has been overwhelmed. Like the in-person places where you can do this is just like, was already a mess before the pandemic and now it's way worse. So offering customers another point of access for this, another point of in-person access has been something they've been explicitly asking for. Some of the challenges are that you need to submit documents to complete an application, which means like, basically like taking pictures or scanning or something like that. So using just a tablet presents some issues there, like whether or not we could use the camera. So there's maybe challenges to figure out about how to like manage that documentation piece. And the next steps for this side of the project are both like a research and design. On the research side, looking into, existing solutions, better understanding the Get CalFresh app. That's pretty well documented. And then on the design side, actually coming up with some like graphics and visuals and kind of like signage for the kiosk itself, as well as some like UX across that whole experience. On the point of sale side, just for the sake of time, I can just sum up that when people like go to pay with EBT, there's like already a lot of stigma around the use of it. And, when folks like actually like use an EBT card and the cashier doesn't realize it, they actually they end up overpaying. And so that's just frustrating on a number of levels, not to mention like these customers are losing their money, like they're not actually getting the discount that they're supposed to get. And so it's a mess. And the solution there is like a better point of sale system. The one that they're using is 20 years old. It's a mess. They have funding to get a better point of sale system. So the next steps there are researching alternatives and getting that feedback to them so they can order a new one. You can find us at Project Community Foods if you have questions.
All right. Right on the nose at 4 minutes. Questions for Thomas about Community Foods?
Hi, sorry. Hi, Thomas. I have a sort of a lot of questions, but yeah, just to make it short, can you explain what the hardware challenges are, or will you be handling any of that? Because it just seems like this problem is really multifaceted, and it's not just a question of making a nice website or something.
Sure. And when you say hardware challenges, are you referring more to the kiosk side or the point of sale side or both?
Well, I guess I don't understand it well enough to even make that
Cool.
distinction.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No, it's a great question. So on the kiosk side, the hardware challenges, I think, primarily revolve around how to extend the functionality of a tablet, which they have and are planning on using, and how to get that. How to make it easy for folks to basically like scan or photograph the documents they need to actually complete the application on site in the store. And so I think that, if the tablet is like secured in place, like, can you actually get a good picture of your document? Is an external camera needed, like a peripheral, and just kind of looking into the options there.
Oh, okay.
It's maybe a partial answer.
Yeah. No, that's fine as a start. Yeah.
Sure. Do you have other questions?
I don't want to hog the floor. I'm good. Thanks.
Does anyone else have any questions for Thomas about Community Foods? Felicia, do you want to get your questions in if no one else has questions?
I think I would need to think more about articulating them better. So no,
Okay.
I'm feeling shy. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll follow up with you, Felicia. I'm really curious.
Okay, cool. Because it's a really interesting project, but it sounds almost a little overwhelming in all the different hats you're going to have to wear. Or
Yeah, it needs help. Like,
yeah.
It's a little too much to do at once, and so it's been kind of stagnating. So
Right. No, I understand.
Extra brains.
Yeah. No, fascinating. Okay, thanks.
All right, if there are no further questions for Thomas and Community Foods, let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Alyssa with La Escuelita site.
Actually, it's
I think I made you co-host.
Yeah, it's going to be Anwana presenting.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Cool. So let me.
Oh, I got to make you co-host then, Anwana.
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
To be able to screen share. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
There you are.
1 second. Okay. 1 second. Yeah, I think it's this one. Cool. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Anwana Tafan. I am project teammate for La Escuelita, and Alyssa is also here with me as well. And yeah, so this is my first time demoing. So I'm eager and just looking forward to running through this. So cool. So La Escuelita. Let's see. Okay, cool. So La Escuelita's goal or purpose is really, La Escuelita is La Escuelita Elementary. And so the goal for that school is really to improve website presence. They currently do not have web presence, and we believe that this will not only improve local enrollment numbers, but this will also improve the ability of the school to communicate with families and establish web presence. So there's definitely a lot of diverse families and people with different accessibility needs. And so our goal is to really provide a means for that. So those are, a couple of our biggest points that we're aiming to solve. So next we have recent progress. We made a lot of progress, over the months, and so far we've made site updates to the fav icon, which is that little icon next to your within your tab, and also the school logo. We've provided background header images of students of different grade levels. So that's nice to see on the site right now. And things like the mission and vision statement, things that really help drive home the essence of La Escuelita Elementary. Right now, our upcoming, we are planning to share the website with La Escuelita staff to do a light QA process, just to get it in their hands and see how it performs on different devices. The next thing would also secure a more finalized version of the copy from the staff. We have a few places where there's placeholder text, and so we're looking to get that information as well. Of course, with the holidays and everything else going on, we're definitely trying to make sure they have flexibility there. And then we also want to add in parent resource information. And this, what this equates to is actually converting documents from PDF form to text. And this next slide that I have, not this slide, I think it's coming up. Let me not, predict. So we want to convert documents from PDF to text. And what that means is they have embedded PDF forms on their previous website. And we just want to make sure that if they receive all of the text instead of the embedded PDF, that it'll be easier to scan through their parent resources. So next, we have ways you can get in touch with us. You can contact either myself or Alyssa Rubin through Slack, and that is our project La Escuelita channel. So you can just search that if you want to add the channel and check us out, or just message us directly. And the help needed actually is converting these documents, just seeing how they perform. The platform that we're using is Google Sites. So we just want to make sure that these documents can potentially be converted into a readable text format from their PDF file. So this is the slide I was referring to. So this slide is actually an embedded PDF view of La Escuelita Elementary's current site. And so as you'll see, there is these, kind of nested scrolling views here. And as you'll learn on, I guess, just different, family members, if they have, maybe some don't have smartphones, or maybe some have don't have the capability to view these forms. This is, what we hope to convert into a readable format. Cool. So the project location, like I referred to before, is on Google Sites. I'm not sure if this will, I think because I'm sharing the screen, it should just link out. So let me actually select that. Is my screen still sharing? I'm not sure.
Yes. You can see the project brief on one side and the La Escuelita Elementary website on the other.
Oh, okay. Because I just want to make sure you're seeing me scroll right now.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So right now we actually, and let me actually, let me actually expand this. Cool. So this is the current site. So right now we have a nice background header image of the school, and this calendar will be linked to the La Escuelita Gmail account. And then down here, we want to have upcoming events, announcements here. We also have the school location and the principal name. And yeah, we have a bunch of other tabs here as well. So we've been filling this out as time progresses. So these are kind of the fields that we have, or sections rather, that we're willing to fill in with the copy. And we also have, I'm looking for, let's see, teachers and staff. So we've been filling this out as well, just making sure we have, the different staff members here, whether it's a list of grades, or school office, kindergarten teachers, and so on, going all the way down to special education and custodians. So we've been working on this site. Currently, as the slide referenced, this is still the sites.google.com URL. And now I'll just navigate back to the slides. So I'll go ahead.
Anwana, can we go to Q&A soon? We're eating into Q&A time.
Sure thing. Yeah. So that was the last slide. And I just wanted to, say that a custom domain will be added upon launch. So that's it. And thank you.
All right. Thanks. Questions for Anwana about the La Escuelita site?
I have a question. Anwana, I realize that your target audience is quite a well-defined one. I suppose it's mainly, would it be parents and staff members of La Escuelita?
Yes, they are a part of the audience. Yes, parents, staff, and also children.
The children
are
yes.
students rather. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Right. Yes. So
Yeah.
This is definitely something that all parties can get involved with it and take use as a resource.
And I'm guessing that most people are accessing the site by mobile. That's my real question. Like, do you think most people are using a phone to access your site, or would?
Yes, that's what we found to be true.
Right, okay.
Most families do use mobile, just as far as availability of resources.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, thanks very much, Anwana. That is all the time that we have for La Escuelita site.
Okay, awesome.
If people have other questions, maybe they can take them offline on Slack. Big round of applause for Anwana. For a first demo, that's brave, stepping up to do a demo for the first time. Next up is WOAQ, Angela and Jess, right?
Great. I will kick it off and then pass to Angela in short order. You know what? Let me present first. I think I can do captions then. Maybe. Captions and share. Order of operations. Okay. Can you all see my screen and the captions? It should say West Oakland Air Quality. Great.
Yep.
So I'll try to cruise through real quick. This is where you can find us, woak.org forwards to our GitHub repo for now, because we do not currently have a live site. Tim is vigilantly working on a production deployment process. So I kind of start all of our demos with our project principles. Because it is very much a partnership-driven project. And we really look to our project partner, the West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project, to sort of drive our decision-making, our process, and ultimately the experience we're designing. EIP has been a West Oakland fixture for almost 2 decades now. They do really incredible, important work in West Oakland and throughout the city. And they are currently heavily involved in a lot of citywide and countywide air quality advocacy and policy implementation right now. In fact, this Thursday is their monthly steering committee meeting, which is open to the public. So if you're interested in the West Oakland Air Quality Project, it would be a great sort of way to see behind the scenes. We really very much sort of defer to EIP, and they are very much an environmental justice organization that is really doing this work in service of racial equity. The goal is to make sure that West Oakland, which is disproportionately impacted by poor air quality, given its history of redlining in the neighborhood and industrialization and proximity to the port and freeways, et cetera. The sort of end goal for EIP's work is to bring West Oakland's air quality in parity with the rest of the city and county and ultimately state. There's a link here. I'll post the deck in the demo night channel so that if you want to check out these principles of environmental justice, they're like very much rooted in community self-determination. This is what we're building. So phase 1 is really basically a data visualization tool on its surface. West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project has a citizen science program where volunteers, residents of the neighborhood, essentially go out and collect air quality data block by block using mobile sensors. They have suspended that program because several years ago, the study that sort of initiated the program, they got a grant into the study to collect this data, which drove a lot of these legislative changes that they're working on now. The study closed, they lost access to the database that had been built to support the study. And so we're trying to build them something that they'll eventually be able to maintain themselves and be able to manage this data that the community collects from the community internally. So right now, this is where we are. This is a screenshot from the current build. These are all data points that are uploaded from CSV and log files. Phase 2 is what Angela will be talking about, which is really sort of digging into what is important about this data and how it matters to people in the neighborhood, and giving them the tools and data literacy that they need to be able to actually take action and make decisions about the sort of context of air quality and its impact on their day-to-day lives. With that, I'm going to hand over to Angela so that she can walk you through a little bit of the research work that we've been doing around this process.
Great, thanks, Jess. I'll go ahead and share my screen, and it will be 1 minute or less here. I'm starting my timer. Okay, so hi, I'm Angela, as Jess mentioned. I'm on the WOAQ team, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the research that we've been doing to try to understand some central questions. So the central questions we've been trying to answer, oh no, I accidentally closed the tab I was going to show you. But the central question that we are trying to answer here will load very briefly. So we want to understand what are the actual value systems that influence how people are looking at this data? How do you bring narrative into the data map, and how do you help the layperson in West Oakland contextualize that issue? And how might these actually manifest into a user experience or user interface? Time goes by a lot quicker than I thought, so what I'll just say is that I have read through, I and some other folks have read through all of these research documents here to try to get an understanding of the work that's been done already to try to understand the needs of our users. And as you'll notice, I started to lay out these values that I believe are surfacing from the research that we're doing. So things that, things like having a shared purpose or supporting others, and then other things that, since we're trying to build data literacy, things like more informed decision-making and, sorry, it's kind of small, learning new skills and concepts for yourself, learning how data literacy works. And the brief overview is just these sets of values help us to understand the user. And as the user is moving through a process of understanding data, we're trying to understand the different entry points, essentially, that they can enter. So things like maybe they want to understand something about a family's health problem, and that's why they want to access this data. Or maybe they want to fight for air quality and environmental justice in West Oakland. There are a lot of different ways that users can possibly come to this website, and that's what we're trying to uncover here. And I will just leave you, I know that was really brief, so please let us know if you're interested. It's been a really valuable process to look through the research, to understand the stories, and just to constantly remind myself that you have to stay close to the people that you're trying to build for. I think as a very technical person myself, I'm not used to doing this kind of work, but it's been really, really fun, and there's been a lot of insights that I don't think I could have uncovered otherwise. So I'll leave it at that. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks.
All right. Thanks very much.
One more thing.
Question. Oh, yeah.
One more. Sorry. Really quick. Yeah, and we also need help. So if you want to help us, here are the other things that we're working on. It's not just the synthesis, but we have some more synthesis work along with these issues here, how to aggregate geolocation data, and then also how to put in account authorization and some front-end improvements. So please reach out to us or put a message in the channel if you're interested. Thank you.
Okay, we've got about a minute for questions for Jess and Angela about WOAQ. Any questions? I guess you guys covered it. If there's no questions, let's give Jess and Angela a big round of applause. And last we have, right, last one? Yeah, Councilmatic, Tom. Oh, and did I make you co-host yet? Yes.
Okay, sharing my screen. Okay, am I up and visible? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. The project is Councilmatic. I always think it's a funny name, but the project came from New York City, and I just checked earlier today, and it's still running there. There's a version in Philly, a version in Chicago. I think we're the only one on the West Coast. But to explain the project, because we're a brigade of Code for America, and it's they talk about government services, the first question is, well, what government service are we dealing with here? And for Councilmatic, it's the city council meetings. And when I mention the project to people, they quite often think city council meetings, just a simple meeting once a month, something like that. So I listed the 7 committees that I know about here. There may be others. And so what the city is doing is presenting information about the main city council meeting and then the meeting of each of the subcommittees. But the tenet for this project is that representation begins with access, and it's not the access to the meetings that anyone can go attend a meeting. Now that they're online, anyone can attend that way, but it's access to the information about not only when the meeting is going to occur, but when is the agenda published, what items are new to the agenda, just everything about the meeting that would tell you whether you want to attend or how you want to attend the meeting. The information is available from the City of Oakland. This is where we pull our information from. We actually pull it from an API, and it gives us access to most all of this. And you'd say, okay, the information is there, but the problem comes here. This is first step in explaining the problem. This is what it looks like on a mobile device. And from the earliest research, it was very clear that all populations, and especially the underrepresented groups, are more likely to use their phones. You heard this in other projects tonight, that it's having it easily accessible via mobile is incredibly important. So this was the first version of the project, but I've gone back to look at the desktop version just because it's easier to show. And you can see that there's a way to filter by the individual committee. If you just want to look at one, everything is organized by day. You have your times, you have access to the agenda. And what's also important is, for complete transparency, you can go back and look at that other grid of meeting information if you want to dig into any of the details that maybe aren't presented here. And also you have access to any historical meetings as well. So this is what we look like on a mobile device currently, and that's been running for a number of years. There's been a number of research efforts, the initial one back in 2017, then Carnegie Mellon in 2019, and then just this year, and of course it was through interviews, not face-to-face, but interviews and Facebook dialogue. So this is where we're going with it. The second from the right and the right, those are 2 views of the prototype. You can see there are new graphics go along with it. So that's where we're moving in terms of the look and feel and general accessibility. Also, there is a Twitter link, and the Twitter link sends out information about the meetings a week before, a day before, and the day of. So it's just informing you, if you want to follow the Twitter feed, it's informing you of when the meetings are happening. Where we're going next is a change notification system. So instead of simply telling you when a meeting is coming up, users will have the ability to subscribe to specific information. If they want just a subcommittee, if they want to know just about a certain type of change, let's say an agenda being published, we're probably about 20-25% into this. Have done some proof of concept of building the change files, but a lot left to do before that's ready. So opportunities here, same thing I showed last week, always publicity and SEO. User research, we've done a lot, but we keep learning from it. So if somebody feels like that's what they do well, that's what they enjoy, we can talk about new things we're looking for. I've heard about the other languages translating sites. I don't know if that's possible here. I've never tried it, but so much of our information, we actually do a complete refresh of all the data 3 times a day. So it's not the normal sort of translation, or if we did have other languages, no idea what's possible there, but it's worth looking at. We will need to be building out the new UI. This uses Jinja templating. So if somebody has any expertise there. We get almost all the data from the API, but we realize there are a couple pieces that actually need to be scraped from that spreadsheet. So if somebody enjoys doing that, and then building out the change notification, working with JSON files and Python, that's what's going on there. So this is just a summary of the final information, and that's it.
All right, questions for Tom about Councilmatic? No questions?
I have a question about research. Because I know I feel like this is one of our projects that actually has a fair amount of research behind it. I don't know if that lives anywhere like accessible from the repo or anything, but my understanding just from the project worksheet, the planning worksheet, and then stuff that you and Howard have shared, is that the bulk of the research has been done with people who attend city council meetings. Is that accurate?
Carnegie, I couldn't think of the name of that student group. The Carnegie Mellon group was also, they were able, let me see. Okay, I can get that for you. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know that the group or the people that Melody was talking to, some of them were just generally interested in government. So they weren't people that went to attend, but what she was trying to get at is people that had an interest and would be interested in attending if they had more information. So
cool. Yeah, I was quite curious because what I was sort of getting at, or it was this, what you said about access being the first step towards participation.
Right.
I just remember thinking like, it would probably be really useful to talk to people who aren't going to meetings either because they have obstacles or barriers to that, since those are the folks we want to get, right? We want to those are the people who need the access. The folks who are already going to meetings clearly have some degree of access. So I was just sort of curious, like how you're approaching reaching out to that category and sort of uncovering, seeing if there are, I imagine there are alignments, but clearly there's differences between people who are going to meetings and people who aren't. So trying to get at some of that stuff.
Yeah, the research you mentioned is probably what we all want most and is the hardest to get. It's that group that is not using your information, but would if they had just a little bit more. So I like the idea, and that's one of the ways I want to open it up. If somebody really feels like it would be fun to go after that, we're all ears.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about sort of outreach we could do to try to find some of those folks, right? Like,
right.
Where are they spending their time instead of city council? Whether that's with their families or other activities or whatever. I don't know, I'd have to think about what kind of, I wonder if there are other Open Oakland partnerships or organizations that we've worked in the past who might have some insight into that.
We are all out of time for Q&A, but one last thing I want to add that's relevant to Councilmatic, but I think all projects, is that we have budget for these kinds of things. If there's something that Open Oakland could spend money on for that outreach. We're certainly saving a lot of money by not buying pizza for all of us every week. So we have budget for this kind of thing, and we have done that kind of thing for like the bikes project in the past for promotional materials for Bike to Work Day. So if there's something comparable for Councilmatic or any project, that's something we can support.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. It's good to know. I had no idea that that would be possible.
Yeah. All right, big round of applause for Tom and Councilmatic. Okay, that is it for demo night. Tom, can you cancel this?